Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people all around the world, welcome back. This is Radical Health. My name is Seth, and I got a special guest with you today, Miss JeannetteDonofrio. You know her as Ms.FitVegan. You know her as the fruity cutie with a booty, with a watermelon-colored aura. And we're happy to have you today. Welcome to the show, Jeannette.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow, I love the intro. Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, we know your immense love for watermelon. You know what I mean? You sport that. I want to know, beside from watermelon, what is one of your favorite fruits to be enjoying right now?
Okay, I knew you would ask. So I got some red custard apples. Do you know about this, Seth?
Big time. I love some red custard apple.
Yeah, there's many names for it. Maybe you know some other names for it, but I got some yesterday. They're ripening. I wish I could share with you, but yeah, they're in season right now. They're one of my favorites. Tastes like, what would you say? Raspberry cheesecake is what I would say. What would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely got the cheesecake consistency and the creaminess and the sweetness. And the riper it is, and some certain varieties will have a sweeter, more raspberry flavor in them for sure.
So are they ripe when they're like an avocado? Is that what you would say?
I like a little softer than that. Avocado has a little more firmness with these cherimoyas and these custard apples. You know, I wait till they're nice and easy to break open with the hands.
Thank you. I don't have a lot of experience. That's a special treat. But yeah, I'm loving the oranges right now, orange season. So we got the golden nuggets. Sumos are still, kicking forever. I don't know if they're GMO. I haven't decided. Does anybody know? They're just so good.
Well, that's so funny. Yeah, if anyone asked me, Seth, what do you think of the top, potential New World Order fruits out there, I'd probably put Sumos on top because they're so delicious and like easy to eat and watery. And and then they came out of nowhere. They kind of came out of nowhere with the marketing, and they have really good marketing and everything. So, but I eat them too.
Yeah, I eat them every day. But yeah.
And I like the little mandarins. I've been crushing just the tiny clementines and little mandarins this winter.
Love it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for sharing some of your favorite goodies as far as food. Now, we have gathered here today to talk about food and to talk about raw veganism, which you're very passionate about. I'm passionate about it, although I will not consider myself a raw vegan. Definitely keep it vegan, but I try to eat everything. And I'm also newer to this philosophy, this practice, and I'm allowing myself to transition, take time to get there. But tell us a little bit about yourself for anyone listening who's not too familiar. How long have you been into raw veganism? And tell us a little bit about how you got there. I know you battled a lot of different health issues that you outline in your books, but if you could, a little bit on how you got to raw veganism and how long it's been.
Yeah. Okay. So I was always very passionate about health and the truth because I grew up around a lot of sick, unhealthy people. My sister had a brain tumor. My mom was overweight and had diabetes. My grandpa had prostate cancer. Everyone was super sick in my family, and I never wanted to go down that same path. So I was always looking for the truth, what to eat. And I tried every diet, and I was looking, Atkins, and I tried the Zone diet, and I'm trying, everything, brown rice over white rice. And, I learned about gluten and everything. And so I've always been a researcher, always been looking for the truth. And then in 2011, somebody told me about the raw food diet. And I was already vegetarian, but I didn't know that milk is also contributing to animal cruelty. I didn't know anything. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So then I watched Earthlings, and somebody told me about the raw food diet at the same time. And I said, wow, this sounds very interesting. Like, when the truth hits you, it's like a ton of bricks, and you feel it. You don't just hear it, you feel it. And so I was like, let me try this because this sounds very interesting. I was always trying to figure out what we're supposed to be eating. So I tried it, Seth, and I never looked back. I cannot explain how good, and because you've eaten raw for a period of time, I cannot explain how good it feels to eat raw. You feel so alive. And I swear humans were supposed to feel like this. And before I went raw, I was overweight. I had acne. I was depressed a lot. I was really negative. I was really not a nice person. I was irritated. because I was eating irritating foods. I was just a totally different person. And then the fruit, vegetables, nuts, and seeds over the years, they have helped me become more just like myself and give me a lot of energy so I could do some things that I really want to do here on this earth. And yeah, I'm never going back. It's easier at this point to eat raw than it is to eat cooked. I'm not saying all cooked food is created equal. We can get into that.
Right.
Obviously, Twinkies are not sweet potatoes here. But people get that message confused. You don't have to be 100% raw to be 100% healthy. But me, it just became a habit. And now it's just so easy. It's so much easier. And now, yeah, so 15 years in now, 15. And I'm going
That's
to be
beautiful.
40 in a few days. So
Well, happy birthday. It's
thank you.
Aries season. You're going to hit a major milestone with epic health that you earned through that time eating properly. So, and when you were mentioning, more energy, this is how you're supposed to feel. That's the sense I get when I'm reading all the life-changing testimonials of what raw food can do, which is one of your books. You have a book, The Healing Powers of a Raw Vegan Diet. It outlines 100 testimonials of different people who have underwent this transformation, this choice to eat raw living food. And one common thread throughout the whole thing is more energy, and I feel more like myself. I feel younger. You know what I mean? Like pretty much everybody says that. So that's the baseline thing. Some other derangements or diseases or symptoms that people can clear up and reverse and cure for good would be acne, addiction, alcoholism, allergies, autoimmune disorders, chronic pain. And again, these are from real life testimonials of people who have said, no, I switched this. So I don't want to trigger too many of the YouTube bots either by saying the names of these symptoms, but I'm just going to continue because I think it's so important to say that people have reversed chronic pain, ear infections, endometriosis, hair loss, IBS, inflammation, joint pain, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, heart problems, diabetes, ulcers, sleep apnea. There was one I thought was interesting, was a sun allergy, being so sensitive on your skin that you can't even go outside because you break out. That was reversed. Jeannette, is there anything in your experience in your time coaching people too that you have seen the raw vegan diet not be able to reverse? Like, are there any problems where you're like, this isn't helping for some reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, except uh, a severe resistance to healing and resistance to change. Like, it's such a great question, Seth. But I mean, physically, no. Physically, no. I've helped people, and I don't know what we can say and what we can't say. But stage 4 cancer, coming back from that, I've seen it with my own eyes. It's incredible. But the mindset, that's something that you're going to have to really work on your journey, because if you are convinced that you need to, eat meat, or you can't be raw is not going to work, well, then it's not going to work. Like, it's not. Your mind is more powerful than any fruit, vegetable, nut, or seed out there. So you're going to have to really just start realizing that your thoughts are real. They are creating your life, and they're what's holding you back. And if you have a severe resistance to getting healthy, then you'll find a way to eat raw and not get healthy. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Is that it's the mental blocks that you can't just cure with a diet. You have to actually do the work to unlearn certain things that we've been taught, that we've been enculturated with. And you mentioned the film Earthlings. That's one that I saw that pushed me over the edge. And I think that is such a great tool, that one documentary, which is free online, people. I've said it many times on the show, nationearth.com. Go watch it. If you're not convinced, I'd say if you're already vegan, don't even bother. It's just too sad. But if you really don't understand the scope of the suffering that goes into producing even just milk and eggs, like the things that you take for granted as not killing the animal, but it really does, because what happens to all the baby male chicks, that are born? They just get shredded alive because they're not egg producers. So definitely Earthlings was one thing that I saw, and the truth hit me, and I felt it, like you said, and that was enough to make a mindset shift where I go, oh, okay, now I'm actually more inspired by and like kind of fueled by the knowledge of truth like what actually is going down. So that's beautiful. And that's also, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything that, as far as a physical ailment goes, that you can't reverse by
No.
cleaning up the diet,
Yeah, it's a
because
miracle.
the intestines are such a huge part of the energy consumer of the body that, like, when you give that a break and you give that extra, what do you call it in the video game where you like get extra life points and stuff, simply
Yes, it's
simply
like that.
stopping the consumption of certain, like, salt and oil and heavy, cooked starches and stuff can definitely give you a lot of life that your body can then use to heal.
Yes, totally agree. And it's what we don't eat that heals us often. So it's really, people think it's the fruit and vegetables and they want to know exactly what fruit to eat to heal this. But it's really, as your listeners probably know, it's really the body's natural instinct to heal. And when we get out of its way, it can do its thing. It's almost like we're putting up roadblocks when we eat the bread and the pasta and the meat and the dairy, and we're piling them up on the highway. So of course, the cars of the healing energy, you can't get through. And then when we remove those, then we can finally start to heal and look the way we were supposed to look and feel the way we're supposed to feel. Everyone looks younger when they go raw because that's what we're supposed to look like. We're not supposed to be looking old before our time. And who knows how long we're really supposed to be living. They say Noah lived till 500. We have really devolved, in my opinion, since eating cooked food and especially animal products and processed foods. But yeah, the raw food diet's a miracle. It's like waving a magic wand, but you have to earn that magic wand. So,
Yeah, it's not just, you don't just eat a plate of watermelon and you're cured. You have to, day in and day out, make
yes,
the right choices, not
yes.
consuming these things, but also giving yourself enough grace and sort of transition time. So, like, you help others, you coach others to teach them how to nourish themselves and have the proper mindset. When someone comes to you who has a hard time turning off the switch to certain foods, how do you teach them to cope with, like, can I eat some of this? Transitioning, basically the transition time. How do you deal with that? How do you encourage people to approach that?
Yeah, so if somebody really wants to go raw, but they're having difficulty staying away from cooked food, number one, I always know we need to increase their fruit. You're not eating enough fruit, or maybe you just cannot get some like really high quality, delicious fruit. Some people are living in food deserts and they can only shop at supermarkets, and it's really difficult for them to get to an Asian market or to, get some tropical fruit. So at that point, we go to a high raw where you can, have way more variety, and you can have the squashes, which are fruits, and you can bake apples, which makes them sweeter. And I always encourage everyone to eat as much fruit and vegetables as possible, whether it's raw or cooked or steamed or sauteed. Wet heat is recommended over a higher temperature baking. But I personally, I don't think that everyone needs to go raw. It depends on your situation, how, severe your health issue is, and also what you can stick to. Because the ultimate thing that's going to ruin your health and your body and your life and your potential is the processed foods and the dead animal body parts. So we have to do whatever it takes to get off that. I don't really care if you're eating cooked food or not, but what cooked food are you eating? Because, quinoa and sweet potatoes and peppers and mushrooms are not going to harm your body. What's going to harm your body is the parasites and the chemicals and the crazy toxins that people are eating, and it seems to be normal in our society. It seems to be normal, but it's not. It is not normal what we're eating. It is totally not normal. It's common, but it's not normal, and it's very when you step out of it, as we have done, you look at society and you're like, oh my God, like, that's what gives me the confidence, Seth, to keep going and know that I'll never have health issues on a raw vegan diet, because people are walking around and driving cars and living on pizza and bagels and chicken wings and bacon and Skittles and M&Ms and soda. And I was too for 26 years. So I know eating fruit and vegetables, I'm not going to get sicker. But you watch these YouTube channels and you watch some people, I don't know if I should say names, but you see some people that, they got sick eating raw, or they got sick going vegan. And that's actually absolutely impossible. That's impossible. They were convinced that they're going to get sick. They're going to be deficient. They were convinced it's not healthy to be raw. It's not healthy to be vegan. And I've got to find a way to prove that. We're always proving ourselves right. Always. So I'm proving myself right every day. I say it's so easy to be raw. I'm getting healthier every day. I'm getting younger looking every day. I'm feeling better every day. The mind is everything. So, I'm a big believer in placebo, especially when it comes to the mind, and Joe Dispenza, stuff like that. I'm really big into the mind controls your reality, and you will find a way to get sick if you're dead set on the fact that you're going to get sick, because everybody in your family got sick. But I know I'm not going to get diabetes. I'm not going to get cancer because nobody in my family was a raw vegan ever. Nobody in my family was even a whole food plant-based vegan. So therefore, why would I get the disease that they got? We have to look at our mind here. I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
No, that's amazing. Let's just keep following that. The mental aspect of it, and the Dispenza and the placebo. I mean, the power of the placebo. Like the placebo, the word, it might have a certain connotation, but it really means that you can heal yourself. It literally means that a thought and a belief can change your entire physical reality. So, and didn't you just published a new book, the Master Manifestor's Journal? So, can you tell me about that and like some of the mindfulness techniques that you teach in that book?
Yeah, if we start off. Okay, so this book, it's 90 days, and I ask that every single morning or night you fill it out, and it's the same thing every day. Gratitude. So we start with 10 things that you're grateful for. You write that down. There's an inspiring quote on the top of the page, and then you write your 10 things you're grateful for. And if you can't think of anything, then you just look at your body. Most of us have 2 arms, 2 ears, 2 legs, 2 eyes, a nose and a mouth. That's 10 things. All right. Listen, you got more than a lot of people on this earth. Okay. A lot of people don't have all their limbs. A lot of people cannot see. A lot of people cannot speak. So, gratitude is the secret to happiness, whatever you are dealing with. You can always think yourself into a negative state, but you can also always think yourself into a positive state. So that's why I start my day with gratitude every morning. And then from there, in the journal, you write down some things that you'd like to manifest, some things you'd like to focus on. Our focus, our attention goes where our energy flows, and what we focus on is what we're going to get. I have some clients, they come to me, I teach them how to go raw, and they're so like focused on, I have to make sure I'm getting all of the nutrients, make sure I'm getting, the proper vitamin K and my B12, and I'm getting enough protein. I have to make sure. So, they want to get blood tests every few weeks, and they need to see proof. And I try to inspire them to realize they never cared about their blood test or their health or their nutrients when they were eating Doritos and McDonald's. So we actually are going to be doing a lot better in life once we start eating fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds. So I just try to help people understand that we got to stop the fear of getting healthy, because for some reason our society has set us up to be afraid of being healthy so that we can keep the medical industry in business, so the whole thing can keep running. It's actually very obvious once you take a step back. So anyway, I ask you to write down some things you'd like to manifest, and then some proof of the law of attraction, which is always working for or against us. And then just a few more things. It takes 5 minutes a day, and it's real. It works because it helps you to focus on what you can do today to help manifest what you want tomorrow. And listen, the raw food diet is very powerful because, of course, our bodies and our minds are connected. So once you get your body working properly, you can get your mind working properly. A lot of people are depressed because of what they're eating. I mean, you said it before, your gut is intricately connected to your mind. Like, these are two things that are connected. So if you are having, unhealthy, shitty food, you're going to be in a shitty mood. You're not going to be able to manifest anything. You're not going to be able to manifest that dream partner or that dream job or anything. You're going to just keep manifesting shitty experiences because that's how you feel. So yeah, my life changed when I started eating healthy. It was night and day for me. So yeah, that's the
I like that.
manifestation book.
I like how you fuse the approaches of like the mental and the physical, because they are not separate. A lot of people will only talk about, you got to change your diet, you got to eat this, but they're not talking about how to get there. You might be somebody who, well, not you, but someone listening, you might be someone who is already great at manifesting and thinking positively and being gracious and grateful, but your diet could use an improvement. And so maybe for that person, it's just incorporate a little more fruit. Maybe that's the first step. And then they can start getting a clearer mind and can manifest better. Another person might have a decent diet, but they just have these negative thought patterns. And so it depends where you're at, where you're going to want to start, but it's always a fusion of the two. I want to read just a couple more quotes from your book, people who have given these raw vegan testimonials.
Yeah.
Just because of the power of these words from real people. And I like how you included their in social media, so you can just follow up on them, see who they are, see if they're still doing this.
Yes, see if they're eating meat still, and I swear to fruit, if they are, they're out of the book. These are mostly women. We have a few guys, but these are mostly women who have taken my course. And so it was such a fun thing to do, to reach out to all these women over the past few years that have come to me to start eating raw, and so many of them have amazing testimonials. I tried to put as many photos in there as possible, but you can, like you said, you can go to their social media, see their before and afters, see what they're up to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that book.
So a couple of people have said things like this. There's something undeniably magical that happens when you start feeding your body nothing but raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I feel much more at peace with myself and like my body's operating the way it was meant to. My skin cleared up and started looking smoother and hydrated instead of flaky, dry, inflamed, and suffering from lots of painful breakouts and unexplained itchy patches. I don't have any eye gunk in the morning, and I don't have to blow my nose as soon as I wake up. And it goes on much, much longer. They talk about, reversing hemorrhoids and all sorts of other symptoms, but the eye gunk and the nose and the mucus is huge. That's one thing that I noticed. If I'm eating just normal cooked vegan food, I'll get eye boogers in the morning, and you wipe them away. It's a little crusty, whatever. But I notice when I only eat fruits and greens, for example, those go away very quickly. And so, is our body just pushing out detox all night, and kind of like, if you give it less to detox, I guess it'll be cleaner. Wow, that funny how that works, huh? I'm going to read a couple more. Gone are the days of battling with constipation, IBS, and hemorrhoids. That was another testimonial about that one. The raw vegan lifestyle has gifted me boundless energy and mental clarity. Even chronic pains in my shoulders, neck, and hips have significantly subsided, revealing the profound impact of this dietary shift on my overall health. And one more just for fun. There's so many, and they're all very positive, but I think here are some issues that people commonly deal with. So I'll read this. People might relate to it. When I finally got serious about changing my diet, I saw my chronic pain, digestive issues, brain fog, and eczema vanish. I went from chronically fatigued to bursting with energy that I didn't have even before I got sick. It created an entirely new lease on life for me. One of the best things I ever got into. So you can hear from these people. Jeannette, what do you think about some of these testimonials?
Yeah, I'm so happy for them. And if anybody watching or listening to this wants the book, I'll send it to you for free. Just email me, jd@MsFitVegan.com. Maybe Seth will put it in the show notes. And if you send me an email and in the subject it says Seth, I'll send you the book for free. You can also get it on Amazon, but I'll send you the ebook.
Cool.
So, yeah, might inspire you.
Totally. No, it's inspiring, these stories. I don't want it to seem like it's an ultimate, silver bullet, panacea, magic elixir, total savior, because that might be painting it in too generous of a light, because there are also some pitfalls and some mistakes that people can make when they go raw vegan. And so I want to get into that a little bit, like some of the worst trends that you see in the raw vegan movement and some common mistakes. But let's go straight to the some of the worst trends that you see in the raw vegan movement that you think might be damaging to the overall momentum of just balance and health.
Yes, I love this topic. Number one, perfection mindset. Perfection mindset is the most damaging thing you could do on earth. When you get into raw, you're probably a truth seeker, like, me and Seth, right? Like, you're probably seeking what's truth. Like, what are we supposed to be eating? How are we supposed to be feeling? And so you want to dive deeper, and you're researching more and more and more. And then you find out, oh, this thing is not healthy and this is not healthy. And then, oh, I can't eat cashews. They're not raw. Oh, I can't eat cacao. It's not really raw. Nutritional yeast is not healthy, this and that. And you get into okay, well, I'm just going to eat fruit because that's the ultimate. And then it has to be seeded fruit. And then if it's not organic, I can't eat it. And it might be GMO. And, me and Seth were joking around about the sumos. The thing is, you're going to have to let that go. That whole like rabbit hole mentality of perfectionism, you've got to let that go, not just with the raw foods, but with everything in life, because you're never going to get anything done and you're not going to be healthy living like that. Okay. So me, I'm a perfectionist too. Okay. So I get it. Right now I just moved, so I don't have a beautiful background yet. And listen, I'm not ready to do this interview. I'm not, I'm moving. I'm in the process of moving. But the thing is, I had to let it go. I had to let it go because, or else I can't talk to Seth and I want to have this conversation and I wanted to do this. So basically what I'm trying to say is the perfection mindset is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. You can't be 100% raw. It's just not possible. You can do the best you can. I consider myself a raw vegan because I don't cook food intentionally, but I eat cashews. I eat toasted nori sometimes. I eat roasted tahini. Like, it's okay. It's okay. I have this PDF that I made for my community, and I'll send it to you if you email me the word Seth. Okay. I'll send you my book and this PDF, and it's called Help Foods. Okay. I have a lot of help foods in my diet that are not particularly raw, but they help me stay raw. And, it's things like that. It's things like maple syrup. It's not raw. But guess what? Every fucking raw vegan on this planet uses it. So what are you going to do? Drive yourself crazy and you're never going to be able to eat any maple syrup and the organic thing. It's so toxic because, of course, yes, that would be ideal to eat 100% organic, of course. But then you can't eat sumo oranges. And then you can't have mostly seeded all the seeded watermelon I find is not organic. And I have a few friends. I mean, I run the Woodstock Fruit Festival as some of you guys might know, and I meet a lot of these weirdos. I'm a weirdo too, so I can say it. I meet a lot of raw vegans, and some of them are absolutely out of their mind. I met a guy who has not had watermelon for 5 years because he can't find seeded organic watermelon. I said to myself, oh, he's definitely not eating raw. He's not eating healthy. You can't eat watermelon for 5 years. What are you
Yeah,
eating?
that's extreme.
That's extreme. And you know what? We got to get away from the extreme mentality of the raw food diet because it's ruining the potential of the movement. So that's number one, the perfection mindset. Okay, number two, like trying to be so clean and so perfect. It doesn't work. I tried it. I did it for a long time and it didn't work. And I almost went back to McDonald's and crappy food. And then I said, you know what? I can't be perfect. I can just be healthy. I can just do the best I can. Okay, number two, the cleansing, the constant cleansing, the constant detoxing. I mean, what I'm talking about, the juice cleansing and the mono meal cleansing and the only apples and this. You can do whatever you want, but in my personal opinion, that is fasting and doing these cleanses is like the best way to fall off the lifestyle. What I would recommend is you find something that works and is sustainable and you stick with it for life. Because the body likes consistency. Just like a relationship, you're in a relationship with yourself. It's the longest relationship you'll ever have, right? And so basically, a relationship requires consistency and trust. And your body's not going to be able to trust you if you're constantly changing what you're doing. If you're constantly like, okay, only apples this week. Even if I crave oranges, I'm not allowed to eat apple. I'm only allowed to eat apples, No avocados. Like, no, that's another toxic thing. Number three, the no fat. The very low fat. No avocado allowed. No nuts, no seeds. I'm not saying, and I'd like to know your opinion on this. I'm not saying we're supposed to be eating nuts and seeds. I'm not saying that's our species-specific diet, but are we living in a natural world? No. So in reality, I don't think it's really possible to eat only fruit. I really don't. Unless you're living on a fruit farm, maybe Seth, you're living in Homestead, maybe you could do it. But not even, because there's 5G towers everywhere. We're overstimulated. There's pollution in the air. We have different cravings for heavier foods than fruits. And plus, we don't have unlimited, these custard apples. We don't have unlimited mame sapote. We don't have unlimited durian like we're supposed to have. So I don't try to get to the next level of raw anymore. I realize I'm at the level that is working for me. I'm just going to ride this wave forever. Fruit, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. If I want to eat some cooked food, I'll eat it. It's got to be fruit, vegetable, nut, or seed, though. That's my standard. That's my boundary that I set with myself. Because it makes me feel best to eat this way. But if I have to eat cooked food, I don't stress out about it. But it has to be made from fruit, vegetables, nuts, or seeds because that's my food that I eat. I don't deviate from that. And I think people that are just constantly trying to take fruit, vegetables, nuts, or seeds out of their diet are going to end up going back to processed foods and animals all the time. We see it all the time. I think those are the top. Do you think I missed any of the crazy nonsense that's going on in the raw food diet movement?
No, that's great. I think I wasn't expecting you to say perfectionism first, so that was cool. But I definitely was expecting you to mention the juice cleanses and the mono islands, which I also agree they're extreme. It's interesting that you put it this way. You said it has to be sustainable. Obviously, a fiberless diet is not sustainable. The gut wants fiber. It's the only way it can push everything through is with insoluble plant fiber. So now I like juice. I had orange juice this morning, but I'm not on a juice fast. You know what I mean? So what do you think about juice just incorporated into the diet like it's something like it's a prepared dish almost? What do you think about juice
Yeah,
in general?
I love juice.
Cool.
I love juice. I have it every day. I mean, I don't make it every day, but I had coconut water this morning. If I don't have coconut water, I like to make juice. I love to make green juice. Juice is great. But you just said it. We need insoluble fiber, and mostly we need it to stay full and feel satisfied so we don't eat crap. My community, it's all about whatever it takes to be healthy and to stay away from processed foods and dead animals. A lot of these raw vegans that go on these juice cleanses, they go back to dead animals. So what was the point of even finding out the truth of what we're supposed to eat when you're going to just support the animal cruelty industry for the rest of your life anyway? Because you fucked up the diet, because you think that doing the restriction and the no fat and then, all these things, you think that that was the healthiest path, but it led you back to the beginning. I'm not going back there, Seth. I'm not going back to supporting animal cruelty. So I'm okay with, like not being as healthy as these other amazing raw vegans. I'm okay with having more mucoid plaque than the average person. I'm okay with it because I'm never going back to animal products. I'm never going back to processed foods. And so maybe I won't be as skinny as these other raw vegans, or maybe I won't be as clean. Okay, because I don't do juice cleanses, I don't do water fast, but I'm never going back to being overweight, having acne, having diabetes, being scared for my health. I was scared. I was scared growing up because I saw my whole family suffering from cancer and all these things, and I was like, well, if the doctors say that I have a very big chance of getting this, I have the gene. Like I have the obesity gene, I have the cancer gene. So now that I found the raw food diet, I'm not scared anymore. The discipline of the raw food diet has led me to health freedom, and it's a dream come true. So yeah, that's why I do what I do now, and write these books and do everything because I want everyone to feel free.
I love it. Yeah. And you're not going to feel free if you're not, how'd you put it? You said you're in a relationship with yourself and you need to be able to trust yourself. So if you can't trust yourself because you're constantly putting weird restrictions and like rules on your diet, then it's not going to feel free. And that's what I do like about your approach is your sense of like abundance and total freedom within these. They're not even really confines. Like to not eat animals for me is like the easiest thing ever. It's like, oh, I just don't pay someone to like do messed up stuff. I wasn't even thinking about it. So
Right.
yeah, I like that. You got to trust yourself and be free. And the juices, I can see how, yeah, at once they may help people release like a bunch of waste that the body was sitting in, but you can also release that just by eating water-rich fruits and vegetables and fiber.
Yeah, you should release the unwanted weight and the toxins and the mucoid plaque, whatever they call it. You should release that in a way, learning how to do it for life. A juice cleanse will only help you learn how to do a juice cleanse, which you cannot sustain. It's absolutely unsustainable. So you're actually not learning anything. You're not learning how to sustain a raw vegan lifestyle. And being on a juice cleanse or mono fast, that's not raw. That's not a raw. And I'm so sick. Well, I would be sick, but I'm raw, so I don't get sick. But I'm so tired. I don't get tired either. But I'm so done, Seth, with these people on the internet trying to ruin the movement. That's what that's what really fuels me to just keep making videos and keep putting myself out there because I want people to experience this, but the mainstream society will never try to eat raw because they see all these people looking sickly, getting sick, going back to animals because they did a juice cleanse, because they restricted, they didn't eat raw. they did a juice cleanse. They had an eating disorder and they restricted themselves. And the whole trusting yourself thing, that was so important to me because for my whole life, I was on a diet. And, I said I was never going to eat donuts again. I said I was never going to eat gluten again or whatever. And then I gave in and I did. And so I was constantly lying to myself and I hated myself. I was in a really toxic relationship with myself because I kept disappointing myself and I kept falling off. And then I realized it was because I was starving all day. I was eating 500 calories every day, on a diet. And then at the end of the night, I got so hungry that I couldn't control myself. But with a raw food diet, I eat whatever, as much as I want, whenever I want. I don't restrict ever. And now I don't have to lie to myself anymore. I don't have to feel bad for eating anymore. And that's a game changer. So highly recommend everyone try it out. An abundance of fruit, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Anytime in as much quantity as you want. Try it out.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And yeah, we see these people on the internet who love doing their like apples only or their watermelon only. And it seems to be like this competition for them to see how restrictive they can be and like how simple I can make my diet. But that to me seems unnatural, because if you were in the Garden of Eden, there might be a couple apple trees, but there's also going to be some plum trees and some blueberries, and some persimmons, and like it's endless, the amount of abundance that's available to us. And to only choose to eat apples when there's all this other good stuff that you actually might want to eat. That's the bad part about it, right? Is when you go, I'm only eating apples. I want to eat that mango. I really want to eat that, but I'm not, because I'm like trying to prove something to myself
trying to prove something. Yeah. The ego, we have to let it go. That's not the real you. That's your ego. And the ego wants you to be perfect. The ego wants you to prove that you can't do this. The ego wants to ruin your whole life. Remember the ego, it's from the Bible. There's so many stories of how the ego can ruin your life. And so we have to put that aside when it comes to being healthy. And Seth, so many people fail on a healthy vegan diet because they want to be 100% raw and they can't do it. And then they go back to crappy foods or processed foods or animal products. Whereas, why don't you just try putting in some healthy cooked food into your life, having some oats or quinoa, or like you said, the squashes, which are all fruits, acorn squash and butternut squash and spaghetti squash. These are all fruits. Okay. You can absolutely be healthy eating cooked food, but it's got to be healthy cooked food. And it's not all or nothing. And trust me, I had to learn that the hard way, because I was 100% perfect for 6 years. I was 100% organic, 100% raw, no help foods, no maple syrup, no like anything that wasn't considered raw. Then I found out cashews were not raw. Then I gave up the cashews. Then I found out this and that. And I kept losing things I could eat. And then finally, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's too restrictive. I'm not enjoying this. You're doing it right when you're enjoying the diet, the lifestyle. If you cannot find a way to enjoy it, you cannot sustain it. You can't stay on it long enough to see the results. And then once you get the results, you have to still enjoy it, because once you go back to eating that crappy food, you'll get the diseases back. So everybody in that book that you were reading, if they don't stay healthy, if they don't stay enjoying this diet, they're going to go back to where they were. And me, I'm never going back. So I had to find a way to enjoy this thing. And I did. And I recommend everybody find some really good fruit. That's the secret. Some really simple recipes, really simple dressings, delicious dressings. Don't give up all the nuts and seeds. You don't have to. Find some good fruit or order it. And make this work. Go to your local Asian market. They have some great stuff. Jackfruit, okay, sugarcane juice. You can find it there. Trust me, it's there. But you have to stop just shopping at the same place. Supermarkets. They don't have any good stuff at the supermarket. The only thing is the Sumos. That's it. What else can you find at the supermarket that's good? It's all crappy fruit that's been frozen and picked way too early. But if you get to a local Asian market, now you can get some good stuff. So, or if you live in Homestead, you just pick on them from the tree there.
That's big for me, is to source fruit from places other than the grocery store. Everyone's got farms around them. I don't care where you live. There is a farm within like 50 miles of your house that will sell directly to you really, really high quality fruits and vegetables. So yeah, check those out.
Okay, there's a website. I can't remember the exact name, Seth, but maybe you know it. It's called like fallingfruit.org. Do you know this website?
Yeah, I've heard about it, and I've seen a few sites that show you where you can forage and stuff too.
Yes. And like every time like I see a fruit tree, I try to put it on that website. And then there's upick.org, I think. And you're right. There are farms all over. And then in the winter, there's stuff like oranges and apples. And then the summer, there's abundance. And so it's really comes down to, are you going to make an excuse for the rest of your life, or are you going to get a result? And that's what it comes down to, because
Right.
Seth and I could have made excuses too. I lived in New York as a raw vegan for 9 years. So I don't want to hear that, you can't do it wherever you're living. You can do it. I have people in Canada, Ted Carr, he's from Canada. He was eating raw before he moved. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a serious excuse to use, which is your environment.
I feel like I'm still dishing out excuses because I'm not raw. I like hummus and bread too much. But you have a couple books, Raw Vegan Excuses 1 and 2. So like, what are the most common excuses and reasons that you hear that people don't want to commit to either better health or, raw food?
Well, here's the thing about your hummus and your bread. Okay. So like, it's all about like what works for you at this time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
If it's ruining your life and you're feeling sick when you eat hummus and bread, you got to do something about that.
Right.
But if you're eating a mostly raw vegan diet and you're having hummus and bread and you feel great, then I don't see a problem with that. No animals are being harmed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a problem. Obviously, you're probably sourcing the best you can do, the healthiest hummus, the healthiest bread. But I need everyone to understand that. If you have no health problems, you're feeling amazing, you're not hurting animals, keep doing what you're doing. But what I do is I help women to go raw because they're having a really shitty time here. They don't like their bodies. They're feeling like shit. They have really bad acne or eczema. They might have a disease, and I help them to learn how to eat. The Raw Vegan Excuses series, this is my favorite thing that I've ever done. Book 1 and 2, and it's 60 excuses. It's just things that I used to say to myself, and also that I've heard over the years. I've heard the craziest stuff. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable what we're saying. I mean, one person will tell me I can't eat raw because I'm single and it's so lonely. I'm always lonely and I comfort myself with food. And then the next woman I'll have a Zoom with an hour later, and she'll say I can't eat raw because my husband brings in all this shitty food and I can't control myself, and there's always junk food in the house. If only I lived alone. And the single woman is like, if only I was in a relationship, I wouldn't need food to comfort me. And it's like, when I heard that, I was like, well, I have a book here because this is out of control. Like, we are really, as a species, we are just experts on finding excuses and reasons why we can't do something. Imagine if we took that brain power and that time to find a way that we can do it. You will always find a way to prove yourself right. So you have to be willing to release the pattern in you that created that excuse. And you have to be willing to say, I'm stronger than my most negative thoughts, and I can actually do this no matter what. Because all of us have done things that were really hard to do, and we could have had a lot of excuses. Like today, Seth could have had a million excuses to cancel, and I certainly had a lot of excuses too. We're always going to find excuses, but we are never going to find a result if we don't let them go. The excuses are actually just you trying to stay lazy, trying to stay a victim, trying to stay in your little comfort zone, which if you want to stay there, okay, but it's not so comfortable because the cage gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you get older, and you start realizing that you're your own worst enemy. And you have to break free from that, and you have to mend that relationship with yourself and become your own best friend. The best way to do that is do things anyway. Even if you want to eat crappy food, eat healthy. And you know what starts to happen? You start to trust yourself again, and you believe you can do it, and that belief compounds. And then one day you're not even gonna have to think about eating healthy. It's just gonna be a habit. So yeah, most common excuse is I don't live in the tropics. Okay, I can't eat the custard apple with you and Seth. I can't eat jackfruit every day. I can't. Well, I mean, newsflash, there is, wherever you live, there's amazing fruit. It's called what is it called? How our society works. Like, it's called trucks, shipping in, imported fruit. I mean, like, this is just ridiculous. 9 years I was raw in New York City. I ate super amazing fruit from all over the world because it's how our society works. We have imported fruit. I mean, you can eat fruit from Thailand, Malaysia.
Well, yeah,
You can.
people say that excuse. I've heard it so many times, And it's almost like they're pretending to be locavores in that moment. It's like, but you don't eat, but you don't care about sourcing all your food locally. So you go to the
Yeah.
grocery store to get your hamburgers. Why don't you just go to the grocery store and get your oranges and your watermelon?
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a great I'm gonna use that now, Seth, because you're acting like your vegan burgers and your cheese or even your non-vegan stuff is local now all of a sudden. You know, your shitty food is coming from all over the world. Why don't you get healthy food coming from all over the world? And is it easier to eat raw in a tropical environment? Mm, maybe, but I don't know because it feels the exact same. I could have a million excuses here. I don't know a raw vegan here. I don't. So like I could have brought my excuses here. Wherever you go, there you are. If you make excuses in Canada, you're going to move to Florida and make excuses here too. So you are in charge and you have to know that. And so, yeah, that's the number one excuse. And then some people tell me that they can't eat enough to be raw, like they don't like to eat enough quantity to be raw, but it's like these same people are eating a whole pizza and it's like, what are you talking about? You can't eat enough, like they're tired of fruit. Okay, so then you eat vegetables. When you get tired of vegetables, you eat nuts and seeds. You find simple, easy. Oh, people say that they don't have time to eat raw. They don't have time to eat raw. That's the biggest bullshit excuse I ever heard in my life. Because you take an orange, and it's faster than going to McDonald's.
Yeah. The only time it takes is to wash your hands afterwards.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another one. And there's a million people are scared of being deficient in things, and I address all that: B12, protein, iron, iodine, every calcium. I address it all in the books. There's absolutely no reason for us to not take care of ourselves besides pure laziness and just not wanting to take full responsibility for our own well-being. That's the truth. That's the honest truth.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of these excuses are just ourselves standing in our own way and like giving any reason. It doesn't even matter. It's like the first one that comes to mind of like why I just don't want to step past this and level up and become someone who I kind of deep down know I want to be.
And I'm not saying that I don't make them in other areas of my life. Like you have to understand, I'm on my journey, right? So yeah, maybe I've mastered the raw food thing, but I haven't mastered the rest of my life. So I'm making these excuses in all other areas of my life. So that's why I know they're lies because I see myself making these excuses. Okay, I don't want to go out for a run this morning. Okay, I want to stay up all night on my phone scrolling. And I don't need to do this, but I make the excuse. Oh, I didn't have all day. Like I had a long day of work. I deserve this time where I'm doom scrolling late at night. And, I see the excuses in my own life. So I know that we're all making them. But at some point, you're going to have to decide, okay, am I going to wait to get a disease and maybe die before my time and maybe not meet my grandchildren and maybe be a burden to my family? Or am I going to take life into my own hands and start preventing the disease, which is the only cure? We have to make a decision with our health. It's really that serious. It's life or death here. And you could absolutely die before your time if you don't take your health into your own hands. So, listen, it's up to you. Nobody's going to force you. Nobody's going to do this for you. But it's better on this side. That's for sure. I think you would agree, right? It's better being healthy. It's easier. Life is easier.
Yep. And once you make up your mind that you want to be healthy and that you'll do pretty much whatever it takes to get you there, then all your decisions kind of become easy because either there's a decision that's going to lead you toward that goal or away from it. And so if you are solid on your goals of like, no, I just want to be as healthy as possible. I don't want to feel pain when it's, not due or chronically, then you kind of you can commit to that easier because then each decision is either going to move toward that or away from it. And if you have decent intuition, you can tell. It's not going to be that hard. We just got to stop lying to ourselves.
Yeah, we all know. We all know what to do. We all know what to eat. We all know what we want to lose weight. We know what to do, but we can't seem to figure out how to do it. So that's what I do. I help people figure out how.
That's good. That's good. Now, here's one pitfall, one common mistake a lot of people make when they get into raw food is dates and dried food. Because let's just present this by introducing the idea that raw food has living enzymes in it. Enzymes are catalysts to help break things down and digest your food. When you cook food, it destroys the living enzymes. So cooked food objectively has less of the living enzymes and less ability to break down naturally in your gut. That's one big reason why people like raw food is the living enzyme content. Now, there was some research that showed it's around like 117, 118 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point any higher than that, the living enzymes begin to break down. So then the teaching became, okay, we can eat dehydrated food as long as we keep the temperature under 118 or 120, whatever it is. And then so that way it's like soft dehydrated or soft cooked in a way, and it gives you the sensation and the flavor of cooked food, but it's potentially still has a living enzymes in it. But what I notice is that a lot of the raw vegans can just go straight to like store-bought dehydrated fruit, which definitely was dehydrated past 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,000%. They don't care about living enzymes. And so people can kind of go overboard. Plus, they're so sweet. We took all the water out. We took half the water content out of them. They're super sweet, super delicious. It's basically candy, so it can be addicting. And I think people get teeth issues and sugar issues with dried fruit. And I know that you've gone through some personal experience with like too much dried fruit and dates and have experienced some problems with your teeth. So if you could help us illuminate what you learned on that journey, like what do you think about dried fruit? How should we approach it? And what can we do to avoid, cavities and just like overeating sticky dried fruit?
Yeah. There's a time and place for everything. I needed the dried fruit in the beginning of my journey, to be honest, because I was coming from McDonald's and Twizzlers and Skittles. And of course, dried fruit is much better than that. I do recommend you look for organic, no sugar, and sulfate free. Of course, that would be best. It's definitely not raw. Like you said, they don't care about that, the enzymes. But, at the time I didn't know that. And I was just really grateful to have dates and dried mangoes and dried persimmons. And there was this store in New York that had dried everything, jackfruit, everything. So I was really grateful, but I overdid it because I didn't have a mentor in my life to tell me, what you just said. I wish I would have known. I wish somebody would have said that. I wish I had listened to you say that 15 years ago, because I went way overboard on the dried fruit. I thought it was fruit. Fruit is fruit. But it turns out that's not fruit. That's dried fruit. And that should be eaten in, moderation and, with desserts or like, in dressings, blended in dressings. I wouldn't make a meal out of dried fruit anymore like I did in the past. I would just be eating all day long dates and the mangoes. And, I would even make like chocolate covered mangoes and stuff. And so I don't eat dried fruit anymore. I'm a former food addict. So the dried fruit really helped me. But yeah, I went overboard, and about 6 years in, I had some major teeth issues, major teeth pain. And I also didn't know how to take care of my teeth. I didn't know that I had to floss and brush and water pick after eating dried fruit. I didn't know it's going to stay on my teeth and eat away at my enamel, which you can never get back. So now I know that whole, ripe, juicy fruit is the best food for me. It makes me feel the best. It doesn't give me any teeth issues, no teeth pain. When I gave up the dried fruit, eating it constantly, it took a week and all my teeth pain was gone. Personally, I just think I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for the dried fruit. I needed it, but I just wish I would have known how to take care of my teeth and also just known that it wasn't the same as regular fruit. And, it's good for travel and in emergencies. It's better than processed foods, but it is not ideal. And it is not exactly this. It's not the same as fruit, because fruit has the water, which is what our body wants. And if you realize it, like old people, they look old because they're dehydrating themselves. Okay. They're getting dehydrated by the day. And then people like me and Seth, who are glowing and look alive, we're hydrating ourselves. We're hydrated. That's the only difference. That's the only real difference between, somebody who's eating a lot of cooked food and somebody who's eating raw is the hydration. And the dried fruit has no water. So you might as well be eating cooked food. I mean, that's the truth. I prefer, you eat dates over Skittles, but you really have to look at dates like that's a snack or like something you're going to have a treat. It's not a meal. It's not health food. It's a help food. Okay. Dried fruit is a help food. Health food is fruit and vegetables at the end of the day. That's the healthiest food on this planet. Everything else, it's part of a raw food diet, but it helps you stay raw, if that makes sense.
I love it. No, it makes a lot of sense. And I want to make one, clarification about the dates. The dates usually are not dehydrated further. Like they kind of dehydrate on the tree or after they're harvested, they're naturally, as they just sit there outside, they dry up more and change from like this yellow stage to a brown stage. They're probably the best types of quote unquote dried fruits out there, in my opinion, because they're the most natural.
Well, some people, so I have this community, I have this crazy community, Misfit Mondays, and I have a lot of people in there and they know a lot of stuff. Some people say they have ruined Costco dates for me because they say that the dates at Costco are steamed so that they last longer and they look juicier and they're more plump and all this stuff. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing exactly. But yeah, technically dates should be dried on the tree, but some people say that they steam dates to make them last longer and to look juicier and look fresher. I don't know.
Totally. And they do that too to kill like microbes and they call it sanitize, but I don't like how the modern version of the word sanitize means to kill life. It means to kill bacteria, to kill microbes, whereas sanus, the Latin word from which sanitize comes, means healthy. So right now we equate the word healthy with to kill, which is it's such a representation of where our society is. Like everything's inverted. So yeah, I think they do steam dates to kind of kill any mold or fungus that might be in there, also to make them juicier. So it is tough. You can't necessarily trust packaged food. They don't put every single step that they did to the food on the package.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
So speaking of like Costco and not trusting the food system, what are your thoughts on the mangoes and papayas and these fruits that are heat treated or irradiated? I started to see on stickers, it says irradiated. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I avoid irradiated food, but at the same time, it's a little unavoidable because I've heard John Kohler say that most fruit that comes into this country goes through irradiation to kill the microbes, to kill any mold or fungus, and to make them last longer. I don't know if that's true. It seems to me like, why would certain mangoes say irradiated and some not? If it was a law that it had to say it on there, then maybe the ones that don't have it haven't been irradiated. I don't know. It's a big question mark. And I'm kind of working it out in my mind right now as I'm saying it, but like, it's really just to make them last longer in transport. I don't think dipping a mango in boiling water is actually going to ruin its quality that bad. I mean, it's going to diminish the quality a little bit. Fruit's not meant to be scalded, and it will halt. It'll change its ripening process. It will change the microbial activity in and on the fruit. But I don't think you're actually destroying it or destroying your health by eating a mango that's been imported and therefore irradiated or hot water treated. So what's the solution, I think, would be to get as many mangoes from South Florida distributed to the rest of the country as possible. And same thing with every other country. Mangoes grow in, almost every continent. I guess except Europe, maybe. No, they do in the Mediterranean, like in Crete and stuff. You get all sorts of amazing tropical fruit. So if regionally we could just regionalize and localize the food system, I think that's my goal. That's my vision. And then we would have no need for irradiating mangoes to put on a shipping container to transport for like a week across the ocean. You know what I mean? It just seems so industrial.
So insane.
It's so industrial and so too many steps involved when there are mangoes in our backyard. If Florida, you can consider your backyard.
Well, we talked about this last week on Misfit Mondays. Why are there no Florida mangoes in the stores here in Florida in the summer? I was in Homestead yesterday. I see all the avocado trees. I see all the mango trees. We're getting into the season. None of that's going to be available in Publix or in the local Whole Foods. None of it. Nope. We're getting mangoes from Mexico and Peru when we grow them here, and it's just so insane. Mm-hmm. And, we talked about why, because I'm confused. But then, we talked about how the system has been set up a certain way and all these hands involved and people getting paid. And then, just how it's set up. So, we have to really take our health into our own hands and then start to realize that, maybe you do want to make plans to move to where your food grows, where more of the tropical fruit grows. Because, of course, it's easier to eat raw when you have unlimited mangoes. You got a mango tree in your backyard? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. And you're no longer making excuses because you could still find an excuse, But, I just think this is so incredible. And thanks, because yeah, I agree with the irradiation thing. I agree with everything you said. I just think, yeah, it's not ideal, but sometimes you just can't avoid it because that's apparently everything that comes into the United States. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and again, I don't know if that claim is true, but like they make every human being that goes on an airplane get irradiated with the X-ray. You know what I mean? It may not be to like kill the bacteria, but who knows what the real reason is?
That's true. That's true. Although I'm flying on Friday and I always opt out.
Right. I always
I
opt
always
out
opt
too.
out. I'm sure you do
Well, you know
too.
what's
I'm
funny?
sure you do
The last
too.
time I flew, I opted out of the whatever this one is. They scan your whole body, and they're like, stand right here. And so they had me stand in between that machine and the machine that scans the bags. And I'm standing right between these two X-rays, going, I'm probably getting irradiated more now, and I'm waiting here for like 5 minutes. You know, I could have been in and out through that.
Oh, that's a good
But
point.
but I
Oh
stuck
no,
the
Seth.
principle of it. I was like, no, I'm not going to let them 360 body scan me. I'd rather have some dude who hates his job like touch my crotch with the back of his hand because of the principle. You know what I mean? It's like if I can consciously reduce radiation, I will do whatever I can to do that. But at the end of the day, it's like, did I even reduce it? I'm not sure.
Oh no, that's such a good point because yeah, I stand there for a while and I never realized it. But yeah, I opt out because I want to express my right because if we don't have our rights, we have nothing, and if I stop opting out, then we will stop being able to opt out. So yeah, I'm flying on Friday. I always opt out and it sucks though cuz they radiate my fruit. You know, they always put our food through that thing.
Oh, you can tell them I've gone on Instagram and talked about this, and I know from experience you can give them any bag and say, I would like this hand checked, please.
Oh my
Yeah, so use that.
god.
And then they say, we can't do that. You say, I know for a fact you can. Let me please speak to your supervisor, whatever it takes. Like I've gotten to that point where they said, no, 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 no. And I said, I know you can do this. Every time the supervisor comes over, he goes, oh yeah, I got that. He grabs the bag, hand checks it. Mangoes and lettuce don't go through the scanner.
Wow.
So hot tip, everybody.
I would like this hand checked.
Yes, please. Everyone has a right to get
Oh.
their bags hand checked. And imagine a mother going through with like breast milk in her bottle. You don't want to radiate that. It's the same type of thing. This is our life food. This is our food for our life force. Yeah, I'm not going to send this through a scanner.
I guess that's how John Kohler gets his breast milk through the scanners when he flies. Listen, this is a game changer, Seth. This is a game changer for me. So I'm excited. Okay, thank you for this. Ooh, I'm excited because I love to fly, but you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know, I get that free massage too. So, you know,
Let me know how it works when you go through.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Thank
like
you.
this hand checked. You know what I mean? No one needs to get their food forcefully blasted with microwave radiation. We were just talking about, mangoes grown in Florida, but they're not available in the store. And then people who aren't around mango trees, they're only left with the options from the store. But there are other things that y'all can do. Like, let's say you live in whatever, New York, Wisconsin, Oregon, somewhere north where you cannot grow mango trees unless you have like a sick greenhouse set up, which you could do. You can grow mangoes anywhere with a greenhouse, trust me. But you don't have the infrastructure for that. You don't have the money or the time or whatever, or the space. You can sprout broccoli seeds. You can sprout alfalfa. You can make sunflower microgreens on like a countertop with a light. There's so many ways to start producing your own food.
And you can also buy frozen mangoes, let them defrost. I mean, that's what I did for the first 9 years. You know, you go to Costco, they got really good frozen fruit, whether it's radiated or not, we don't know. But we do know it tastes good. And so you just let it defrost and you eat that. And you know what? You do the best you can with what you got until you can do better. That's what we're all doing. Even in the tropics, you're going to still do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. And even before I moved to Florida, I was eating fresh mangoes from Whole Foods and in the store and like wherever I could, But that's where inspecting your fruit by hand, not getting fruit delivered to you, but like actually going to the store and touching it and smelling it and seeing its shade of yellow. Like you can pick out good mangoes if you know what you're looking for. So, I just don't want people to walk away from this thinking that I wouldn't eat irradiated mangoes or something like that. Like if I was in a pinch, for sure. Yeah, they taste amazing. They still taste really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I bought like 15 yesterday from Mexico because they're not ripe yet here. You know, they're not ready yet. I'm eating a lot of irradiated foods. I'm alive. I'm still looking good, feeling good, guys. So I'm not dying.
And just one more word on radiation, like that is a buzzword and it gets demonized. But what's the ultimate radiation device? Is the sun, which is the same thing that actually produces our food. So we can't just be like, oh, radiation bad. It's energy. So let's not be afraid of all these little steps and things in life that are connected to the whole. Well, Jeannette, I'm really enjoying this conversation. You said you're flying. Now, it might connect to my next question, which is, are there any plans for Woodstock Fruit Fest in the future?
Yes, there are. Well, I am flying actually on Friday to check out a vegan retreat center, which it looks really good. And so I got to see it in person. That might be the next location for our festival. We want to buy a land, but it is very difficult to find what we want. Because we want it to be lots of indoor accommodations and, of course, lots of land and a lake. And we love fruit trees and, location and by an airport. And we have just so many specifications we're looking for the perfect place. And this looks really good. And it's already a vegan land. They don't allow meat on the land and they do retreats there. And, it's looking really good. I'm meeting with them on Friday, going to tour it, and I'll probably post some videos and stuff on my page and Woodstock's page. So I'll keep you posted because, well, it won't be this year, that's for sure, but next summer, probably.
Rad. 2026, Woodstock, we are all crossing our fingers. So I hope that the universe delivers you an epic birthday present of a new venue for this amazing
Yes,
festival.
yes. So exciting.
Right on. Jeannette, is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with as far as inspiration, guidance? I mean, the central core of your teaching is to keep it simple, to keep it abundant, eat fresh fruits and vegetables, get your mind right, be friends with yourself, learn how to trust yourself again by not doing extreme stuff. It all seems very simple and straightforward. Not easy because you got to do the work, but having gone through all that, any other words that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I love talking to you. So let's do this again for sure. If your listeners want me to come back on, and yeah, I definitely, I just want everyone to know that I make it sound so easy and simple, but I know, like Seth just said, it's not always easy. It is simple stuff, but what's easy to do is also easy not to do. So I understand that. Like, I just want everyone to know I am struggling with other areas of my life. I have just mastered this one area, but I do urge everyone to focus on their health and do whatever it takes to master this area of your life because nothing is worth it if you're sick. You can win the lottery tomorrow, you can meet your business partner of your dreams, your romantic partner of your dreams, you can have your child if that's one of your goals right now. You can have your dream job and all those things can happen, but if you're sick, then nothing can work. You can't take care of your child. You can't be having fun in that relationship. You can't travel the world. You can't live your life purpose. You can't do all the things you would love to do if those things happened, if you won the lottery, if whatever. You won't be able to do them if you're sick and in the hospital. So you have to know that your health is number one and the quality of your life is going to be determined by the quality of your health. So please, this is a there's a reason you're listening to this. This is your sign to take your health more seriously and everything you eat matters because it becomes what you are. You know that expression, you are what you eat. So if you don't want to be unhealthy, you've got to choose healthy foods and it's what you do most of the time that matters. And for me personally though, I don't believe in moderation because it's never worked for me. It's very addicting, these foods. So the best way is to set healthy boundaries with yourself and have really good, simple, easy recipes and really delicious fruit that you can find in your local Asian market and just make it as easy and delicious as possible. And you'll see it's a lot easier than you think, but you got to prioritize it and you got to make it happen. It's not going to happen to you. You're going to make it happen. So thank you so much, Seth, for having me on. Really like talking to you.
I appreciate that. And thank you for your time and for joining us. That's a great piece of advice is just prioritize your health, y'all. It's like, that's all we got. If it's
That's
out
all
of
we got.
whack, then your whole life is being filtered through that filter. I also really appreciate, just before we go, your pointing out that, we all struggle, people might look at us and think, oh, they have it all figured out. They look so healthy. Everything's perfect. No, people. We're struggling just as much as you guys with all sorts of different stuff. We just don't always like broadcast it. So, there are solutions here, but we're all in the same boat, all just trying to enjoy a good mango in the sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, what you said, listen. I mean, I do try to broadcast my struggles, but I definitely don't talk about them all because my channel's about the raw food diet. It's something I've mastered. But somebody listening to this is going to have mastered their finances, and they're going to have, really good income and lots of streams of income and really good with investing. And I have not mastered that. So that's why I don't talk about that. But they could talk about that and they could write a book on that and they've mastered that. So like if anybody's out there and they want to master eating raw, then reach out to us because it's something that's I'm very passionate about and I have mastered it. But listen, I could use some advice on all other areas of life. If anybody has any advice for me, send me an email because I'm still struggling with a lot. But thank God I have mastered this because I wasn't going to be able to do anything in my life if I was sick. I was headed for obesity, diabetes, cancer, and the standard American diseases that we get from eating standard American food. So yeah,
Wow.
good point there. We're all struggling with something, absolutely.
And we can all offer something to the world, right? Everyone's got their own niche, their own strengths. So
Yes.
find what that is
Yes.
for you. See if you can be a beacon for others. Jeannette, thank you for doing that in the way that you know how. Everybody go check out her books, check out her courses and her group. Oh, and if you email her with my name in the subject, you can get a free ebook, The Healing Powers of a Raw Vegan Diet, 100 Life-Changing Testimonials of what raw food can do. And that's it, guys. Hope you join us for the next one. And Jeannette, thank you again.
Thank you, Seth.
All right, we'll talk soon.